I really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we know that CT is coming next week. We know that we have 16 competitors left, and next week is episode 14. So we've got to get down to probably 5 for the final. So that could mean a purge. That could mean double eliminations. But we'll see what happens. What up, Challenge fans? This is Final Alliance Podcast, recapping episode 13 of the Challenge, season 39, titled El Saboteur. All right. Full disclosure, we've been gone a couple weeks. Apologize about that. We had just round after round of sickness. My husband and I, Christmas, plague of a stomach bug. Then Jay got it. And then our daughter, who is 8 months old, Hannah, who we call Bananas, and yes, that is a Challenge reference, tested positive for RSV, COVID, and influenza B, which has been scary, challenging. She's doing better now, thank God. But obviously we were tending to those things that, family obviously comes first. Currently we are on a snow day because we have gotten about 12 inches of snow this week, and there's a blizzard warning. So Final Alliance Podcast family has just been going through it this week. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going through similar things at home as well. I hope everybody is getting through it just as best they can. I'm not going to recap everything. I do want to just get right into it with the chaos portion, the champion twist, if you will, because I've kind of changed my opinion on it, and there's a lot of other people that are kind of saying similar things online. So, this is season 39. This is Battle for a New Champion. The champions were going to come in the chaos portion against people in eliminations. Started out with Jordan. He freaking killed it. Forever the showman. Phenomenal athlete. Did amazing. Then we had Devin, or we had Kaz, and I think she lost, but that was okay because she's kind of new to us, and it was like, okay, awesome, whatever. And we had Devin with a counting elimination, which I'm sure that humor is not lost on him either. And he won and, brought it as far as being entertaining and fun. Casey came in and did a great job. And then we've had like 4 in a row where the champs have lost. So, we had Darrell lose, we had Cara and Laurel lose, and then we've now had Brad come in and also lose. As a fan, this is frustrating for me because obviously we all love the champs. We want to see the champs do really well. The eliminations have not been my favorite eliminations. I mean, they are kind of equalizers, and I think that that's what production is trying to do. But, of course, we all want to see our, the Laurels go in and like kick somebody's ass in balls in, or Cara in pole wrestle, or, Darrell in a million of the things he can do. But we're not seeing that. And I was kind of around the time that Laurel was on, I just kind of had a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, I really would have liked to have seen her show more of her athleticism. And it kind of reminded me of the analogy I came up with would be if I were to go in an elimination with Venus Williams. Okay. But we're not playing tennis. We're playing darts. I'm like, do people really want to see that? But I've since changed my opinion based on Karina from Challenge Fandom Podcast had a really good story about this, and we'll post this in here and we'll link all their stuff. If you don't follow Challenge Fandom Podcast, they're phenomenal. Check them out. She said,
But what we're asking is, with the goal of what production's goal for this season, okay? And if you really think about it, Battle for a New Champion, their goal for this season is to usher in a new era of champions and challengers to the fans, right? That's the point of this whole season. That's why they don't have existing champs on it, etc. However, what's happening is we're bringing in champs, okay? And no, they're not getting the eliminations that they're the best at. And y'all can come for me, but I don't think that they should, because again, it defeats the purpose of the season. If they came in and they got the eliminations that they're absolutely best at, they're going to come in and decimate the contenders. And then we're going to sit there and go, ha ha, like that little guy from The Simpsons. You remember him? Like, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. That's going to be us to them, because those champs are going to come in and absolutely decimate the contender. No, the point is for the champs to lose. And I hate to say that to you guys. I really hate to break your hearts, but the point is for the champions to lose so that the contenders look better and we're like, oh, that's my favorite. Look, she beat Laurel, or like whatever champ we don't like, right? And I just say, I love Laurel, by the way. She's my GOAT. I just say Laurel because I know a lot of you out there don't like her. So just for example, or like whatever, you know? Like all the Michelle fans out there are like, ooh, Michelle beat Cara. Like that was the point of doing this. The point was never for the champs to come in and win, ever. Like a couple of them, sure, but that was never the point for them to come in and decimate the contenders. But I also think that worked against production's goals with this, because now fans don't like a lot of these contenders even more than they didn't like them before this season. Like it's blowing my mind that they tried to do this to make the fans accept these newer challengers, and it's almost worked in reverse for them.
Production wants essentially the champs to lose. So back to my Venus Williams analogy, yeah, likely Venus Williams would probably be pretty good at darts, but I would at least stand a chance at beating her. If it was tennis, there's no way in hell I would beat her. It would be humiliating. And what purpose does that serve? We already knew she was going to beat me in tennis. So I'm kind of thinking that's a little bit of the direction they're going. Now, having said that, Laurel's whole appearance was, chef's kiss. The way that she called out Purple Jacket, which is Michelle, and it was so good. I love that. I think she really brought it. I also, I'm not on Jay's level, Jay, my podcast partner, where he really does not care for Michelle. But I thought it was really kind of charming how scared Michelle got. And she's like, I really think we could be friends. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I thought it was really funny. I love how Laurel brought it. Laurel gave us exactly what we wanted as far as that. She also did tweet that she's like, look, for anybody who's saying that the show is rigged, I told literally everyone in production, anyone that would listen, that I wanted Michelle, and I did get her. So for anyone saying this is rigged, there you go. But again, it was, something with pegs, to which she, of course, tweeted. She's like, clearly me and pegs don't work, because if you remember when she was with Ninja Natalie and she did the, famous showboating, which she thought she won, and she'd put the peg in the wrong spot versus Ninja Natalie. Throwback to that. Pegs didn't really work out for her, but she was very sweet, and she was very encouraging of Raven. I thought Raven did a really good job in that as well. Fast forward to Cara then calls out Purple Shirt. She is beautiful. I love how she is, she's been an underdog, and she called out Michelle. That was great. It's a puzzle, not necessarily Cara's strong point. Michelle wins, but I'm glad that Michelle went in and did it, and took it. Moving forward to this week, now we see Brad. This elimination was a little bit different. I liked this elimination. It was, the 5 towers. They had to get through, bring the yoga ball up, put it down a chute. It was a race. There were 10 of them. I thought that was a really good elimination. Better than we've seen as far as something where a champ could show their abilities, but it just fell a little bit flat. I love Brad, but he didn't give us as much of the entertainment value that the other champs have given us thus far. So, I do feel bad. Kieran had tweeted, he's like, so is anybody else going to get a physical elimination, or is everyone going to keep playing carnival games? Which I thought was interesting because, he went against Jordan. Debatably the best challenger. And there were points in that elimination where it was physical. So I get his frustration with that as well. So I'm curious, and knowing that CT is going to be there next week, I all season I've been very, very excited to see CT. And we all know, he comes out with the chaos mallet and freaking excited. Are they going to give us Jay? Who knows? But I feel like at this point, based on what I've seen the last several weeks, as far as what the elimination is going to be, I need to manage my expectations because they're not necessarily giving us, the viewers, what we want to see from the champs, which is unfortunate. I think a lot of the viewers are frustrated with it as well. So I'm curious to see what happens. I'm also curious to see what Conquest is going to mean. I think I saw some buzzing about there being like multiple eliminations happening at once or something like that. I mean, because the fact of the matter is we're at episode 13 and we still have 16 challengers left. Typically, they do about 19 episodes. So 7 episodes to go. We got 16 people. Probably 5 are going to go to the final, maybe 4. Will there be a purge? I'd love to see it. Curious to see how that goes. Jay and I talked about this on an episode that didn't air because we had sound issues. When we were speculating what the thing with the champs was going to be this season, I would have liked to have seen something different with the champs. Like if the champs could live in a house and watch what was going on and then come in for eliminations and like party nights even and like kind of like stir up drama and even mentor people, I think that would be cool. Or if they've done this on Big Brother where they have people who've been on the show before that like are captains of teams. I think there's a different ways that they could have done it. And while I love seeing the champs, it's just I don't know that I want to say it flopped, but it's not what I was anticipating. The big thing with this episode was Horacio's team through the challenge. Colleen is the only one that you can't completely tell if she threw the challenge, but both Asaf and Michelle confirmed they did throw the challenge. It's frustrating because we all love Horacio, but this is the challenge. They do this. This is not the first time someone has thrown a challenge to get somebody to get voted in. It won't be the last. Obviously, everyone is terrified of Horacio because of his abilities. I get it. Another thing from this episode that I thought was interesting was there was more potential of flipping the vote. Because Horacio was voted in. They were obviously going to go for Kylan, but there was potential to flip the vote with putting Jay in because Jay has gotten cocky. I've liked Jay. My homie Jay has not. But I think he could use maybe a little bit of humbling, getting voted in or something to that nature. The way he was reacting when he was almost voted in was very puffing his chest out. I don't know if he was trying to be intimidating. It was just a different side of him that I've seen before, and I didn't particularly care for it. I did care for the fact that Nerys and him kind of got into it, and Nerys kind of put her foot down with him. I also like that Raven, told him later, like, you guys have voted me in several times, so that's why I'm going to vote the way that I'm going to vote. So I thought that was good. I would have liked to have seen James vote for Jay and Colleen vote for Jay. That would have obviously switched the votes up. Didn't work out. Is it going to ever happen? I don't know. At this rate, with all of his relationships and his friends and alliance, he's had a pretty safe route to potentially the final. So, I mean, you could say that means he's playing a really good game. I can recognize that absolutely. But, you kind of want to root for the underdog, and he is the top dog at this point. So we know that, just a little tea, we know that Bananas, CT, and Trishelle are all going to be on Traitors season 2, which is dropping on Peacock, I think today or tomorrow. Great show. I really enjoyed it last season. I know that there are several like Real Housewives that are going to be on it, a couple people from Big Brother. I'm looking forward to watching it. Bananas did have kind of a shady post on Wednesday, on Challenge Day, picture of the cast, and he said, if you want to know what an entertaining cast looks like. So a little bit of shade there from Bananas. I would not expect any different. There's also been housewives tweeting at each other, getting in beefs, Traders, what a good show for you to be on. And, oh, I'm so sorry you didn't get a call. So that being also a Bravo fan, that gets me really excited. I'm totally going to watch. You should too. I hope my homie Jay does as well. I'm curious to see how Bananas and CT are going to do in the show. I think Trishelle doesn't typically do well on the challenge, but I think she might actually do pretty good on Traders. So we'll see what happens. And I'm wondering if Bananas or CT will get picked to be a trader. As far as this week, this elimination, I've dogged on Kylan a lot. He's now beat 2 champs. The last person to do that where they beat 2 mercenaries was Killa Cam. So, I mean, I do have to give him props for that. I like that he is pretty straightforward and honest about what he's doing. I still don't know that I see him as a physical beast, but he keeps coming out of eliminations and he does pretty well in challenges. So maybe there's more to him than what I'm seeing. So curious to see how that's going to play out as well in the future. The reunion just filmed in Amsterdam. A lot of the champs were there, which I thought was interesting. The champs that I saw were there were Cara and Laurel, Tori, Devin, Darrell. So there was no Casey. There was no Jordan. I don't think Kaz was there. There was no CT. I guess Tori and Cara get into it a little bit from what I've seen on the Twitter. So I'm curious what's going to go on there. And I've seen that Nerese and Jay get into it allegedly, and a lot of the girls against Colleen, which I'm very curious what that's about, because what we're seeing of Colleen is like, yeah, she's kind of like in the middle. She knows she's low in the pecking order with the alliance, but I don't really see her being super shady. So maybe there's stuff that we're going to see, or things that have happened on social media. I don't know. So I'm curious to see what that's about as well. Manuel had quite the costume. So, when Amanda on the reunion that they were on together for Spies, Lies, and Allies had said something about just worry about your costume, bro. Yeah, he worried about his costume, and he looks kind of like could be a cast member on The Greatest Showman from what I saw of the outfit. Can't wait for Jay to see it. The women all looked beautiful, of course. Ed had on a velvet, looked like a t-shirt, but it was velvet.
This is beautiful. What is that, velvet?
Do what you got to do, whatever. Maria Menounos is hosting it again. She always does a great job. I love that she, is well-versed on the show. She is a fan as well. That'll be great. Also, I really don't know what's going to happen. We know that CT's coming next week. We know that we have 16 competitors left, and next week is episode 14. So we've got to get down to probably 5 for the final. So that could mean a purge. That could mean double eliminations. We'll see what happens. Other Ed got engaged. Congratulations to Ed. That's wonderful. Looking forward to seeing pictures of, the wedding and all of that in the future. Speaking of Ed, so I was on, are we supposed to just call it X now? I was on X the other day. I don't know. I want to keep calling it Twitter. Can we all just agree to keep calling it Twitter, even though it's X? Anyway, so I'm going to pull it up. Reality Radio Pod had tweeted, I respect Nerese for voting for Manuel because she made promises to both Jay and Kylan. I totally agree with that. He says, side note, Manuel and Ed bring nothing personality-wise to the show. They're dry to watch, a waste of space. And I just said, I'm like getting ready in the morning, like minding my own business. But then I'm like, I'm going to respond to this. And I said, I disagree. I find Ed to be such a breath of fresh air. Thought that was going to be it. He said, by what? Being a follower. Can't remember anything that makes him stand out to even be a true challenger. This is his second season. Jordan and Leroy's second season compared to are night and day. To which I said, and I'll paraphrase. I'm like, I think Ed gives good interview. I think he's more athletic than what they're showing. I think he's playing under the radar, which that's not brand new. People do that all the time on the challenge. Not everybody. And I said, while I love Jordan and Leroy, not they're few and far between. And then they came back with, there's all these other people that, give the same energy in interviews than they do in their conversations with people, like, Nani and many people. And while I absolutely agree, and those are all people that I love, I still like Ed. Ed, it seems like he's a friend to everybody, but he is, he's playing the game. He's doing the alliance thing. He is amusing. Seems like somebody would be a good time to just sit around a fire and have a beer with. And you need those people. If we're talking about like people on the show that like bring nothing to the table, and while he seems like a sweet man, it would be like Nam. You know what I mean? Like, I think Ed brings more than that. And I don't know. I have to disagree with them. And that's okay. We all are, free to our opinion. And they seem like they're pretty knowledgeable about the challenge as well. So check their stuff out as well. I really don't know how much more news I have. Nelly just had another surgery for his ankle. I hope that he has a good recovery. It's been a very long journey after that accident. So hopefully he is soon on the road to recovery. All right. Well, thank you for bearing with me while I kind of bounced around and just kind of sort of had a weird stream of consciousness this week. Hopefully my buddy Jay will be back next week. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in and listening and tuning in. And as per usual, follow us on Twitter, Fight Alliance 1, Instagram, Fight Alliance, on YouTube. We are Fight Alliance Podcast. Please comment, subscribe. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, Fight Alliance Podcast. See you next week.